Thank you. Sorry, I was born completely colorblind, so I've never seen color. I don't know what color looks like. So when I was growing up, I couldn't ignore that color exists, because even if you don't see color, there's many elements every day that I could hear that contain color names, like Yellow Pages, Bluetooth, Pink Panther, Red Bull, Yellow Submarine, James Brown is in his last name, Greenland, a huge country as well. So I kept hearing the names of colors, so I couldn't ignore that color exists. Also, when color is used as a code, it was confusing. Hot water, cold water, also maps. This is fine, but if I go to Tokyo, I can get easily lost, because some maps only use color codes. And when I was learning the names of flags, or countries and flags, I had this situation where 3 countries share exactly the same flag. So it was a very cultural element that I kept missing. Also, when people ask me things like, have you seen a man with ginger hair, blue eyes, and dressed in pink? I would have absolutely no idea, because the only information I get here is that the man has hair, that he has eyes, and that he's not naked. So the reason why I wanted to sense color was not because I felt that I was missing something physical, because to me, seeing in grayscale has many advantages. I see better at night. People who see in grayscale have better night vision. We see better shapes. We remember shapes more easily. We see longer distances, and photocopies are cheaper in black and white. So all these advantages are something that I did not want to remove from my life. So I wanted to have a sense of color without stop seeing in grayscale. So when I was studying music, I realized that there's a connection between color and sound, like Newton did theory centuries ago relating color and sound. They're both frequencies. Color and sound are frequencies. Sound is an audio frequency, and color is a light frequency. So there is a relationship between both. So in 2003, I created a scale that relates the light frequencies with sound frequencies. So if we could hear the frequency of red, we would hear a specific note, because it's a specific frequency. So there was no scale relating the light frequencies to notes in a physical way. So it's simply by dividing the light frequencies 39 octaves, they all become in the middle range. So you can actually have a note for each color. So in 2003, we created, with Adam Montandon, a wearable, which was a webcam connected to a 5-kilo computers at that time, and a pair of headphones that allowed me to hear the sound of color. So each color created the light frequency that was transposed to sound, and then I was able to hear colors, and I memorized the sound of each color, and then I was able to distinguish colors through sound. And then I kept upgrading the software until I got to 360 different microtones, one for each degree of the color wheel. So I hear color in sine waves, pure notes. And there was a point I was able to distinguish all visual colors through sound, even better, because it's much more specific. Now we have the different volume levels for saturation, because color can be saturated or less saturated, so the volume gives me the levels of saturation. In 2007-8, I was able to distinguish all the visual colors, so I didn't see why I should stop there, because there's many colors that surround us that the human eye cannot sense, like infrareds and ultraviolets. So I added these near infrared and near ultraviolet. So from that point, I was able to sense more colors than the visual spectrum. And sensing infrared, for example, allows me to know if there's movement detectors in rooms, so I can tell if the alarms are on or off in shops or in banks. So and in many cases, they're off, so it's interesting to know. Also, ultraviolet allows me to detect if it's a good day or a bad day to sunbathe, because if there's a lot of ultraviolet, then I either put a lot of sun cream or I just don't sunbathe. So the aim is to continuously extend my perception of color to X-rays and radio waves, and I keep upgrading this sense every year. So my aim then was not to use technology and not to wear technology. I wanted to become technology. I wanted to have an NSO, a new sensory organ that would allow me to sense color through a new independent sensory organ. First, I thought of having a third eye implanted in the center of my head, but then I realized that this would limit my color vision to only what I would have in front. So I looked at nature, and I saw that many animals and insects have antennas. So I thought that the best would be to design an antenna that would allow me to sense color independently from my other organs, and a sense that would not use sound. So I wanted to have an antenna that would go inside my bone and give me vibrations inside the skull, depending on the light frequency, and then these vibrations would automatically become sound, because when you put a vibration on wood or a bone, these vibrations become sound. So when the antenna was designed, I went to the doctor and I said I wanted an antenna implant, and then he said, sorry, we don't do this here. And then he said, if you want to have this type of surgery, you'll have to convince a bioethical committee. So I presented the antenna implant surgery to bioethical committee, and then they said no, that this is not ethical because it goes beyond the visual spectrum. They said it was not ethical because it's a new organ, and they said it was not ethical because it was a new sense. So they only would find it ethical if it was the recreation of a pre-existing body part or a recreation of a pre-existing sense, but something like this was not ethical. And also they were very worried about the image the hospital would have if someone came out with an antenna sticking out of their head. That was their main concern, was this. So in the end, I had to find a doctor willing to do the surgery anonymously, and I found one. So the surgery took 3 hours and a half. My head was face down. We reduced hair, and then we reduced the skin so that would be less risk of infection. And then the head was drilled 4 times. So it has 2 implants for the antenna, 1 for the chip, and we added the 4th implant for internet connection so that I could receive colors from other parts of the world. So that then I don't only need to depend on the antenna to sense color. Other people can send colors to my head via internet. The head was closed, and then it took 2 months for the antenna to become part of my skeleton. So now it's merged with my bones. If someone pulls the antenna, it's like pulling a bone. It's impossible to remove. So my brain, also this is the connection with the internet I'm using for 5 people. There's 5 people around the world that have permission to send colors to my head, 1 in each continent. So it feels to me like having an eye in each continent. So if there's a beautiful sunset in Australia, my friend from Melbourne can use his mobile phone to send live colors from the sunset to my head, so I could be here but sensing a sunset live. So in a way we are sharing a sense, and it's the use of the internet as a sense, and that's what I'm exploring now. The thing is, when they send colors at night, if I'm asleep, at the beginning they would wake me up, but now these colors become part of my dreams. So if someone sends me violet colors and I wake up and I realize that I dreamt of violet houses and violet people, it's because someone was sending me violet colors at night. So in a way, my friends can interfere my dreams, and in a way we can dream together. So for me, it's a beautiful way of using the internet as a sensory extension or as a sense itself. My brain has changed. This is an MRI of my brain, so both the visual and audio cortex are always activated, even when there's only one input. So the doctors weren't able to understand what I was sensing here, because it could either be sound or audio. And this happens as well when I sleep. When I sleep, my brain creates colors. It's not the chip creating the colors, it's my brain creates the sound of the colors of the dream. So it's a new sense for me, and I call it the sonochromatic sense. And that's what I had to explain in 2004 to the UK passport office, because they didn't allow me to renew my passport because they said I had to remove the electronic device. I replied saying that this was not a device. I don't like this people calling this a device. This is a new body part. It's a body part. And I told them that this should be accepted as an extension of my senses and a part of my image. They said no again, so it became like a little battle with the passport office, and in the end they got fed up and they said yes, so I was able to appear with the first prototype in 2004. And this allows me to travel freely. Now I'm applying for Swedish citizenship because the materials inside my head are Swedish, so I am Swedish, and I'm telling them that I should be allowed to at least apply for Swedish citizenship. They still haven't replied, but I'm waiting. So my life has changed in many ways. Before I would dress in a way that it would look good. Now I dress in a way that it sounds good. I decide which notes to wear. This is a C major combination, so it's a very happy combination. This is a minor chord. I would dress like this in funerals because it's a sad chord. And then you can also wear songs. So I'm designing clothes with Francesc Cardona in Barcelona, and we design different types of music that you can wear. This is electronic music, so when I look at the tie, I can hear the electronic music. So the longer the tie, the longer the melody. Also, you can have a wedding rest, so you don't need to pay for musicians for your wedding. You can be the wedding march. So it's music that you can wear as well. My house as well has changed. I've painted it in a way that it sounds good. For example, the living room is pink, blue, and yellow, C major, has a C major combination. The floor of a house, I think they all should be red. Red is the lowest frequency. It gives a profound sound to the whole house, so it gives a profound feeling. The ceiling's black and white, so that if you lie down, they're silent. Also, the exit door is green, because green is in the middle of the spectrum, so it tunes yourself before you go out. It's like a tuning fork. The bedroom has 3 colors, turquoise on the right, pink in the middle, and violet on the red, because turquoise sounds B, pink sounds E and violet sounds D. So I have B, E, D, bed in the bedroom. So it makes sense to have this combination. And then in the kitchen, I have violet, because violet is the highest pitch, so it keeps you alert. It doesn't distract you from anything else. Also, we don't usually eat violet, so it doesn't interfere with food. Food is an interesting area now, because food is sound. So when I eat food, I'm eating musical notes. So depending on how I put the food on the plate, I can actually compose music and eat songs. And I'm collaborating with a restaurant in Barcelona, Cella de Can Roca. We've created a food player. We've called it the Chromaphone. So you can go to the restaurant and ask for a song, and they'll serve it on this dish. And then by rotating the plate, there's a sensor that will allow you to hear the sound of the color of the food. So then you'll be able to eat the song, depending on what you feel like. So you can eat some Mozart, or you can have some Lady Gaga dessert, or you can choose what song you want to eat. So imagine if you have children that don't like eating vegetables, if the vegetables sound like Justin Bieber, they might eat their vegetables. So it might change the way we sense food. So now I compose music by looking at things. I don't need to play an instrument. By just looking at different colors, I can compose music. I can amplify the sounds from my head to the audience, and this is how I compose or create color concerts. So I enjoy going to supermarkets, because that's where I choose the notes I want to play. It's like going to a nightclub, because that's where I find most color, especially the zones with cleaning products. That's the area that is most exciting in any supermarket, because it has very loud colors, very unusual combinations. This is an example. It's not only music, it's not only supermarkets, it's also art. I can now go to a gallery and listen to a Picasso, or listen to an Andy Warhol, because painters have also become composers. So art galleries are like musical experiences. Milk is silent, so... And this is the sound of the scream. So I can actually hear the scream, because it creates all these different microtones. Also, when I look at someone, I hear their face. So the canons of beauty have changed, because each person has different colors that create a different chord. So instead of drawing someone's face, I like writing down the notes of the eyes, lips, skin, and hair, and then I create the sound portrait. I send them an MP3 of their face. The first face I did was Prince Charles. I asked him if I could listen to his face, and this was his reaction when I asked him if I could... Judi Dench has silent hair, for example. James Cameron has very loud type of skin. This is Vince Cerf, has a unusual sound in the eyes. Al Gore has two different notes in his eyes, because different shades of turquoise. Tim Berners-Lee has very loud eyelids. So each person has its own chord. Marina Abramovic, very silent but very loud and deep lips. Steve Rice has melody in his eyes, because he has a specific pattern. Steve Wozniak's eyes sound like apples. Moby has one note less, because he has no hair, so he sounds much less. And Robert De Niro, very musical lips. He had different shades. Woody Allen, very soft, unsaturated. Macaulay Culkin isn't one of the few people that sound like a major chord, so he sounds C major. Philip Glass, very microtonal. And Bono's glasses were very, very loud. What surprised me is that through all these years, I've never heard someone black or white. People who say they're black, they're not actually black. They're very, very dark orange. And people who say they're white, they're not white. They're very, very light orange. So the fact that people say that humans are black and white is completely false. We are all different shades of orange. This is a color wheel based on different shades of orange. I can also create music with people's faces. So I can also look at someone and then create rhythms by the colors of the face. So these are called face concerts. I usually ask the audience to be on stage, and then I start creating music from the colors of the faces of the audience, and these are called face concerts. So if the concert sounds really bad, it's their fault, not my fault, because that's where the music is coming from. The last face concert was of Prince Albert of Monaco. He liked the sound of his face so much that he's using it as his ringtone now. So when someone calls him, he can hear his face. The secondary effect of hearing color is that when I hear music, I can also paint what I hear. So this is music transposed to color. This is Queen of the Night by Mozart. This is Baby Baby by Justin Bieber. And these are two speeches as well. When we speak, we use different frequencies. This is a speech by Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream. And this is a speech by Hitler. So each syllable of the voice has been transposed 39 octaves until they become color. Also, musicians can use this color code to perform music, so they don't have a music score, they use color to perform the notes that they've learned And this is also a public sculpture in Barcelona where you can walk underneath and you can hear a song by downloading an app on your mobile phone. You can then scan and then you can hear the colors. Also at night it changes the projection so you can hear music by pointing your mobile phone to the sculpture. So I've had to speak to many strangers since 2004 because people see me with an antenna and they stop me and they ask me what it is or they just laugh at me. So I get a lot of interactions every single day. In 2004, people thought it was a reading light, so they thought it was. So they thought they asked me, "Can you turn it on?" And said, "No, it doesn't. It's not a light." In 2005, 6, they thought it was a microphone, so like an internet chat microphone. In 2007, 8, they thought it was a Bluetooth phone. Like taxi drivers started to have hands-free phones. In 2009, they thought it was GoPro, that I was filming my life. In 2011, 12, they thought it was something to do with Google Glass. And now lately, a child asked me if this was some kind of extendable selfie stick. So it keeps changing what people think it is. I've made some designs, change on designs as well due to society. Like this layer here is like a skin, so that if someone pulls the antenna, the skin is removed, because sometimes I get people trying to pull the antenna. It's usually the same type of group. It's middle-aged drunk women that I have to avoid, because when I'm late in pubs, they try, I don't know why, they try to pull the antenna. It's always drunk women. So the Cyborg Foundation is a project we started in 2010 with Moon Ribas. The aim is to help humans become cyborgs, to extend senses, help them find the team to allow them to add a new sense to their life. The second aim is to defend cyborg rights, the right to have surgery, the right to be recognized as being technology. And the third is to promote cyborgism and cyborg art as a social and artistic movement. Moon Ribas is the co-founder, and she has been exploring sensory extension since 2007 or 6. She tried the feeling movement in different ways. She's a choreographer, so she's very interested in movement. She developed these earrings that vibrate whenever there's presence in front of you, so she could feel movement with her eyes closed. If someone was walking from left to right, she would feel 2 vibrations. Depending on the interval, she would feel the exact speed. Also, if you turn them around, you can feel presence behind you. So for a while, she had it behind, and she could feel if someone was behind her. So she had retroception. But since 2012, she has 2 implants in her arms that allow her to feel seismic activity in the world. So whenever there's an earthquake in the world, her body vibrates. If there's an earthquake in Alaska, she's now in New York, she will feel the vibration in her body. So she's constantly feeling the seismic activity of the world, and she now feels that she has two heartbeats, her own and the heartbeat of the earth, because it keeps moving, so she keeps feeling these vibrations constantly. She also uses this as art piece where she stands still on stage and she doesn't dance until she feels an earthquake. So if there's no earthquakes during the performance, there's no dance, but usually there is. She feels earthquakes every 5 or 10 minutes. So now she also has another implant that will connect to the seismograph on the moon, so she'll be able to feel moonquakes as well, and this will give her a connection to space. My aim as well is a permanent connection to space. The internet connection I told before is used by 5 people, but I'm also using it since 2013 to connect to NASA's International Space Station. So I use it to sense the colors from space. And when I do that, I get overwhelmed because there's lots of ultraviolets there. So I'm training my brain to get used to this permanent connection to space, so that in 2018-19, I'll be able to use internet connection exclusively to sense the colors from space. Both Moon and I feel that we are in an age where we can explore space by sending our senses to space. Instead of physically traveling to space, we can send senses to space and then explore the outer planets without having to physically go there. We call this like being sense-stronauts or mind-stronauts. And we are at the beginning of exploring this. So in the end, there will be a point where there'll be 3D printers as well that will be able to 3D print our DNA. So we might be able to 3D print ourselves in other planets, so that then we can connect via the internet to these other second bodies and explore planets by feeling that we are there without having to go through the struggle of physically traveling there. So this week we launched Cyborg Nest. It's a company based here in London that is also offering senses for people that might want to extend the perception of reality. The first sense that is already, people are already pre-ordering it, is the north sense. It allows you to feel where the north is. It can be here in the center of your body. So if you have this for several weeks, At the beginning, I guess it will be distracting to feel a vibration in your body whenever you face north. But if you wear this for several months, it will become subliminal in the same way that moon's earthquakes became subliminal and my color senses became subliminal. So in the end, you'll probably gain a sense of orientation that you didn't have before. Most of the senses that I've talked about are senses that I find very natural. Feeling where the north is something that many other species can do. Sensing ultraviolets and infrareds is something that many other species can do. Feeling through bone conduction, dolphins and other fish also hear through bone conduction. Having an antenna is something very common in other species. So I identify myself as a trans species because I've added senses and body parts that other people have, and I think in the 20s we'll see many more trans species, people with new senses and new organs in order to extend the perception of reality. My current projects are having, I have teeth missing, so I don't want to have them replaced with normal teeth. I'm having this, I had already a tooth with a light inside so that in case of emergency I would click and I would have emergency light, like it's called bioluminescence. Many fish have this as well. But I have problems because when I was eating, the light was going on and off all the time. So we're trying to find a way that it doesn't go on and off when I eat. And the other side, I'm having in September in Brazil a Bluetooth tooth. It will allow me to control the antenna through my tooth. So now I have to move it with my hand. But in September, I'll be able to use my tooth to move it and control it through a Bluetooth motor. So it will be literally a Bluetooth tooth. It might even be blue. And also I'm developing a new sense because I've had the sense of color for 12 years now. So I think I'm ready for adding a new sense, and it will be the sense of time. So we all have the same experience or not. Well, we all know what 5 minutes are. 5 minutes are 5 minutes, but the experience of 5 minutes is different for everyone because we all perceive time differently. So I'm going to have a head clock. So I'm designing this, it will be 24 hours. So I'll be feeling time through different levels of heat that I will feel around my head. So if someone asks me the time, I will know the exact time by feeling the heat around my head. But the question is, if I wear this for several months, this might become my biological clock. If this happens, then I'll be able to control my perception of time. So if I want time to go faster, I'll be able to control and make this heat go faster so that my perception of time feels that it's going faster. It might also work for me to, if I have jet lag, I might be able to control this, my perception of time, or I might be able to go as well back and feel that I'm traveling in time. Because time is a perception, so if you have full control of your perception of time, we might be able to take into practice Einstein's relativity of time into a sense. So this is what I'm trying to do this year, and I guess I'll be able to share how it went if we meet again in the future. Thank you.